in San Francisco, they recently had the whole reparations thing of $5 million per qualified individual, or, hundreds of billions of dollars towards homelessness and create more housing. Well, we got a little thing called a budget deficit happening in San Francisco. And one of the main reasons that is happening is because you've got commercial real estate values plummeting. You've got a commercial downtown core that is on the struggle bus, somewhere over 30% vacancy. And you might say, Sean, could give 0 Fs, don't really care. Well, yeah, you might say that, but you've got all this progressive policy that's been put in place that at the street level, on top of work from home, on top of all these businesses pulling back. We don't need all that office space after the pandemic. You've got like the perfect storm for a massive drop in commercial values, not only in San Fran that we're going to cover today, but, Seattle, Portland, LA, everywhere. Because everywhere, pretty much, except like Florida, some other freedom loving states, went through that lockdown. We need to keep everybody home. We need to keep everybody inside, have them all breathe on each other and give each other the Rona, right? Yeah, this is happening in real life. This is happening in real life time. Let's get into it. Let's see what we got going on. Here we go. Lowering downtown San Francisco real estate values could have profound impacts on city budget, official says. When you got an official saying, yeah, our budget, it's going to be impacted, that's when you know. Because otherwise they're going to say, nah, it's all fine. It's all good. It's all right. We need more money. Yeah, we need more money for this program and this program and this program. That's why this reparations thing is just so ridiculous, because you flat don't have the budget for it anyway. You're not going to have the budget in San Fran for a lot of things if you've got a $500 million shortfall, right? Hey, what are you even doing there? Around lunchtime on California Street this Thursday, downtown San Francisco appeared to be busy and bustling. But look a little closer and you'll see the signs all around. Retail space for lease, one read. Right now, roughly 30% of all downtown office space is vacant in San Francisco, according to data from Coldwell Banker Richard Ellis. It was just 3% in 2019 before the pandemic. Downtown office space was 3%. Inflation was 1.8%. And then you've got the press secretary currently saying, the economy was terrible. We've had to get it going. And when I see these numbers, I'm like, no, things were beautiful back pre-pandemic. We've just taken it right in the crapper since then. Literally, there's some stuff going on. You got business cycle and you got, interest rates going to the moon, the Fed reacting probably late because we were told, all this inflation is transitory for years, right? Years. So among these vacant offices is 350 California Street, a 22-story tower that once sat on some of the most valuable commercial real estate in the country. But now, according to the Wall Street Journal, the building may be valued at 80% less than it was 4 years ago. I have an entire podcast dedicated to this one building, the 350 California Street. I kind of work through all the ins and outs. If you're new here, welcome. We've got so many new subscribers. It's crazy. We're taking on, I think, 250 a day or something right now. We're on a roll. We're going solo. Okay. Now, I already went solo. I rock a mic like a vandal. Something. Yeah. That song. Excellent song. He's about my age. So funny. But I dedicated, entire podcast. And what I want to say is, I'm a real estate appraiser by trade. That's my background. And then I've kind of morphed into being a managing broker and an owner of a residential, Summit Properties Northwest. We got somewhere, 80, 90, 100 brokers, something like that. We're not big. We're not small. But, I focus mainly on residential. But valuation principles for commercial are, you got an income stream and you use a multiplier and, you come up with some numbers, and that's what, real estate commercial is valued on. Whereas with residential, a lot of what residential is based on is that amenity appeal. I can live there. My wife will love the kitchen. Since I'm going to get my wife that kitchen in that house, she's going to help me out. Know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's the deal, right? So that's, it's not based on it is based on a financial arrangement, but it oftentimes has so much more emotion than a big commercial investor coming in. I'll take that building. And in this case, it was a building, 350 California Street, was valued at $300 million in 2019. It might have been a high valuation, whatever. Say it was 250 realistically, because nobody ever undervalues their property. We don't know what the appraisal was for, the purpose. We don't know why that happened. We just were having that thrown out as a data point from the Wall Street Journal. And so for it to drop down to 60 million, they're thinking it's going to go on the market and it's going to sell for around 60 million. That is a massive drop. That's the 80% less than it was 4 years ago. So the Wall Street Journal reports that the building was worth more than 300 million in 2019. And now up for sale, bids are expected to come in at about $60 million. I'm sorry, what? Excuse me? Yeah, that is a huge number. I don't care who you are. You know what I mean? That's a massive number. And I'm not trying to bore you with stats and figures, but this is the underlying thing that holds a lot of these cities together is their revenue from the downtown core. When you've got office building valuations, values plummeting, there's less tax dollars to go around for all. Not only from the sale of those buildings, but from all the other businesses that are not there. And that's what's, being reflected in this drop of values is this building is 75% vacant. Vacant. That is compared to 3% in 2019. That's 3% is virtually filled nonstop. You're always going to have somebody at the end of their lease. All right. You're going to have a month turnover, and in commercial, it's much longer than that because you've got tenant improvement and just a takedown of space. It just takes longer, right? It takes longer to turn around. Whereas you put a house on the market, boom, done. You can get financing quick. House gets closed in 30 days or less, 10 days, whatever it might be. But you don't have that quick rotation. So you're always going to have, even in the very best of markets, 3% is stellar. It's like in residential real estate, having, housing supply of 1 month, that's basically sold out. That's just all the crap that's on the market that isn't selling. And if it is on the market super quick, boom, it gets sold on to the next. And that's the residential market we're in right now is we don't have enough inventory still. You got more people. Whereas in commercial, you've got the exact opposite. During the pandemic, everybody worked from home that could, they all worked remotely. And a lot of big businesses, especially in San Fran, where you've got the tech, industry. Here in Seattle, same thing. You've got a lot of companies that have, they're based on software engineers, just, in their blackened, cubicle, they're just banging out cold code, just, going. They can do that from home with the right setup, and that's what happened. So businesses realized, oh, maybe we don't need to have all this space. Oh, hey, what are we saving? What's our bottom line by not doing all this rent? Oh, that's a lot. Hey now. All right. We'd like to have you guys back in the office 3 out of 5 days. That's what we're looking at. And so all these numbers, all of this income that used to be there for the downtown commercial core, it ain't there anymore. That's going to leave a mark. A lot of people are working from home, at least part-time. And I don't think we're ever going to put that genie back in the bottle. I've literally used that term before, right? I think you've probably heard me say that. Yeah, it's a no-go. Oh, hey, we don't have to pay all this space, office space. We can have our people work from home, and they're mostly productive. And you read those stories about, he never opened his computer up during the whole pandemic. Well, that's not how most of this works, right? But literally, Amazon going back to 3 out of 5 days in the office, and they are pulling teeth to get that done, I am heard. Nobody wants to go back. Everybody wants to work at home. It's easier. It's better. You don't have to commute. You don't have to be in the grind of traffic. I've been in some traffic lately here in Bellevue. My 7-minute commute home. Took me 9 minutes today. Gosh darn it. I need to move. Yeah, so ridiculous. First world problems. So this comment was a lot of people are working from home, at least part-time, and I don't think we're ever going to put that genie back in the bottle. This is from San Francisco Board of Supervisors President Aaron Peskin told ABC News. And the reality is that rolls down into the value of office buildings. Yes, it does. And also, businesses have left San Francisco to go elsewhere. At the beginning of the pandemic, I did podcast after podcast. Yeah, you had Elon Musk just taking his business. I thought that was great, the way he handled that. Hey, by the way, we're not locking down production of Teslas. It's Friday. Everybody come into the office. We're opening up on Monday. And state of California, if you don't like it, you can shove it, because I'm going to take my business down to Texas. And that's kind of what he did. It's like, Elon, you are a bad mofo. You just doing stuff. When you're one of the world's wealthiest men, you can kind of afford to do that, right? It's like he just tweets some stuff that's just, anybody else tweeted that at 3:00 in the morning, you'd be like, that guy's on drugs. He's doing something. We got some weird stuff coming out. Or he cranks those emails off, 2:30 in the morning. If you ever get an email from somebody in the 2:30 in the morning, you got to kind of wonder what's up, right? Yeah. Took a big nap, the day before, and you just couldn't go to sleep. Yeah, right. The sale of 350 California Street building could set the rate for other commercial real estate in the area. Will, because it'll be a piece of data. Will that piece of, is this an outlier? You array all the data, got your high points, your low points. You've got these outliers, right? I mean, my statistics is not, I am no genius, but I was able to get through. That was some of the few business math courses I was able to do okay with. The whole business calculus, whoosh, right over my head. I was like, what in the F is this? I have no idea what you're talking about. I got the credits, but then I never got the degree. Just couldn't really care less. So, sale of 350 California Street building could set the rate for other commercial real estate in the area in the form of being a comparable sale. Is this a distress sale? Not really. You don't have ownership in default that I know of. The building, it needs some work. Yeah, but that doesn't make it a distress sale. It's just the condition of the property. That's reflected in the valuation, right? Paskin said the lower value of these buildings will have a big fiscal impact on the city. And I think it already is. These are two geese that have laid the golden eggs for San Francisco. Number one, the tourism industry that is rebounding. Yeah. I keep hearing about that here in Seattle. Oh, we've got more people coming here than ever. And I'm always like, I wonder what they think, these tourists coming from out of town and seeing certain parts of Seattle. It's like, and our mayor has done a great job cleaning up kind of those touristy areas, the downtown, because of all the businesses. But it's just basically taking the homeless that we sanctioned. Yeah, go ahead and live wherever the F you want. Taking those folks and it's, press them out into a little bit more like the urban, suburban neighborhoods. You know what I mean? Just outside of your urban core. That's where all the homeless have gone. So it's just, whack-a-mole those folks. So other areas of the city look even worse because they're getting this concentration. And that's a lot of what you're seeing. Jonathan Cho, reporter here in Seattle, he goes out with his, he's with the Discovery Institute, goes out with his cell phone and just literally records and oftentimes gets chased by nut jobs on drugs with a hatchet, with a bat, with a knife. He's got those all documented. And he literally just goes out, walks around and records stuff. And everybody says, he's a right winger and he's agitating people. And that's what you get. Well, you should be able to walk on a public street and not be chased by some douchebag addict with a knife and not have the police show up, right? Well, we don't have enough cops in Seattle. So that's the reality. This is just, it's kind of what you get. But the tourism industry that's rebounding in San Francisco, all right, we'll give you that one. And the other was the downtown office economy. And that is not going so stellar. 300 million, 60 million. That's a drop. That's a drop. And that one is in more trouble. And it's going to come with profound financial impacts to San Francisco government's tax base, he explained. And that is inevitable. And that is inevitable for every city, but more so the cities that basically said, hey, you know what? Homeless anywhere you want. It's okay. Drugs, it's okay. And we've got that real drug issue because businesses and tourism Companies bringing big conventions to town. They don't really want to deal with that if they've got an option in another city. So you've got that going on. And the fact that a lot of these cities have a big tech presence, Seattle, San Fran, big tech presence. Portland's even got some of that. Those people are working remotely. So you've got all these, things happening that are going sideways for the commercial real estate market. And you're going to have some slashes to budgets. What does that look like? Peskin says this year's city budget is projected to be slashed by $250 million, $250 million. All right. Yeah. Well, guys, tighten your belts because we're going to need it on this bad boy. You're going to have all kinds of entities get cut. And next year by another $500 million. $500 million. Are we going to have a bailout of commercial? Are we just going to have bailout after bailout after bailout of all these entities that'll go sideways? I mean, it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me because not all of these entities that have these buildings can wait until office space recovers, whatever that is. And it may never recover. It may never recover because we figured out how to work around it. You just get all your worker bees working from, home. Yeah. Save their commute time. They're more productive. They're happier. They're getting more laundry done. So we're going to have to live within our means. This is a politician. This is the supervisory board president speaking. We're going to have to live within our means. What? You going to do what? How are you going to do that? We will balance our budget on time. Oh, okay. Within the revenues we expect to get, and it's going to come with hits to city services. Man. That is $500 million. That's $500 million. Okay. You're going to have to whack some projects, right? How about that $5 million in reparations? That whole thing is just ixnayed. That's out of there. There's going to be no money for tomfoolery like that, right? It's just not. You throw out those numbers all day long and guess what? Ain't happening. Not going to happen. And none of that is going to be fun or pleasant. Politician goes on to say, we're going to have a lot of tough decisions to make between the board and the mayor. Oh boy. And this not just San Fran either, right? Seattle, same deal. Because you know how budgets work. It's based on prior income. You're going to have the decisions to shut down the city. It's going to fall on the governors that shut stuff down. Well, moving forward, you can see how we went from $250,000 to $500 million. That's because all of the decisions that were made during the pandemic, all of the policies that are happening, that whole work from home thing. Yeah. It's coming to roost, coming home to roost. We're sitting here looking at it and going, oh, yeah. Yeah. So it's not, some of this is liberal policy, of course, but a lot of this is the work from home deal. And the work from home deal impacts the West Coast super hard because that's where we've got all the tech, right? Got all the tech. You've got some tech in the Midwest and a little bit on the East Coast, but not nearly as much as like San Francisco and Seattle, Redmond. So what's interesting here in Redmond, where I sit I'm literally on Bell Red Road. My office address, if you look it up, is Bell Red Road. It means it goes from Bellevue to Redmond, Bell Red. I know what we do wacky stuff here in Seattle area, but we've got these, back in the 80s, Microsoft started the tech campus. They have literally got campus after campus after campus for their employees, and they aren't in the downtown, never really have been. Amazon, different story. They've got a bunch of buildings. They got a bunch of buildings here in Bellevue, and so many of those buildings they have pulled back from, either building out or finishing out. Maybe they get the shell up, get the roof on, to get everything all weathered in, and then the inside is just basically just steel beams and partially finished floors because they don't know what they're going to do final build out. They don't know configurations. And if Amazon isn't going to take it down, and Amazon has said, we're not going to take down a bunch of this space because they don't know moving forward how much commercial office space they really need. So, all those businesses get impacted, not only the ones renting space, but all the other ones in the downtown core. And it just has this effect after a while of less revenue, less going on, less foot traffic. Don't need to go to the deli because I'm not working in, downtown Seattle more than 3 days a week. Maybe I'm not working there at all. You've got all of that going on impacting the downtown core. And so that's ultimately what we're seeing here reflected in what we're estimating to be the budget cuts and moving forward. Yeah. So all this other nonsense talk about reparations and we need $500 billion for housing. Yeah, that's all going to get put on the microscope. And all right, what's the bare bones you need to operate and not have the city absolutely fall apart? That's what we're going to be working on moving forward. It's going to be those kind of budgetary discussions, not, all right, yeah, we got $5 million for XYZ number of people, $14 trillion. We're just going to pay that out. Not happening. Not happening. So when I see people talking about the whole reparations thing, I'm like, how's that going to get funded? You're going to float a bond to make that happen? I don't think so. You're going to create some PAC fund, we're going to pay out. No, I don't think so. You got some real budget concerns. And it has to do with the lack of demand right now for office space in the downtown core that are already suffering. We know it. It's here. So you want to make sure that you subscribe to this channel, hit that notification bell, because we're going to be talking about this a bunch. And why we're talking about it, this is what's happening. This is the deal. Stay tuned. Thanks in advance for subscribing. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.